Hi guys, so today during class we kind of talked about additive and multiplicative relationships, and we did that foldable. So today we're going to be taking notes about just multiplicative relationships. So go to your table of contents in your math journal and go to page 62. So this is multiplicative relationships. Okay, and the date is going to be for tomorrow, which is December 9th. Now we're going to go ahead and fill out our last vocabulary word. So go to page 53. And we're going to fill out our last vocabulary word, which is multiplicative relationships. Okay. All right, so this is on page 476. Okay. So relationships that use multiplication to compare the independent and dependent quantities. Okay. All right, so after we write our vocabulary word, we're going to go ahead and go to page 62. Okay, page 62. All right, so at the top we're going to write multiplicative relationships. Okay, so we're going to do two examples. All right, the first one is going to be using a table. Okay, so we're going to draw our table. So we have our input, which is our independent variable. This is X. And we have our output, which is our dependent variable, and this is Y. Okay, so we have 7, 8, 9, and we have 14, 16, 18. Okay, so if you look at my table, okay, this is my independent and this is my dependent. Okay, so I have if I start with 7, what do I do to 7 to get 14? Well, I can multiply 7 times 2. If I start with 8, what do I do to 8 to get 16? Well, I multiply 8 times 2. If I start with 9, what do I do to 9 to get 18? Well, I multiply 9 times 2. So, if you notice, I'm multiplying each time by 2. So my equation would be y is equal to 2x. Okay? The y is your dependent. This is the y. And the x would be your independent. This is your x. And the rule is telling you what you're doing. You have a coefficient of 2. This number right here is called a coefficient. Okay? And if you notice, it has to be the same number each time. I'm multiplying by 2 every single time. Okay? Now, let's do another example. This time we're going to do a graph. So I want you to draw a graph. Okay. Now we're going to be going by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then over here, I'm going to be going by ones as well. So this is x, this is your independent. And this is y. This is your dependent. Okay, and we have our points. So the first point is going to be here. The second point is going to be here. The third point is going to be here. Okay, and I want you to go ahead and connect our points, and this is a linear graph. Okay, now we're going to draw our table. So we have x and y. So let's look at the first point. The first point is 0, 0. The second point is 4, 1. The third point would be 8, 2. Okay? Now, we're going to draw a table like this one. We have our independent and we have our dependent. Okay, so we start with 0. What am I doing to 0 to get 0? Well, we don't know anything yet, so we're going to skip to the next one. What am I doing to 4 to get an answer of 1? Well, for this one, we can multiply 4 times 1/4. Okay? What am I doing to 8 to get an answer of 2? Multiplying 8 times 1/4. Same thing here. 0 times 1/4 is going to give me 0. So again, here I'm multiplying by the same thing each time. So 1/4 would be your coefficient. Okay, so my equation can look two different ways. You can have y is equal to x over 4. Or you can have y is equal to 1/4 x. Both of these would be the same. And it's still a multiplicative relationship. Now, finally, the last thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be combining multiplicative and additive. So, I have two tables. So here's the first table. We have x and y. So we have 1, 5, 2, 10, and 3, 15. And the other table is going to be again x, y. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 9, 10, 11. Okay? So, if I look at my first table, how do I get from 1 to 5 times 5? How do I get from 2 to 10 times 5? How do I get from 3 to 15 times 5? So y is equal to 5x. That's the first one. And then for the next one, how do I get from 1 to 9? Plus 8. How do I get from 2 to 10? Plus 8. How do I get from 3 to 11? Plus 8. So this is y is equal to x plus 8. So this is multiplicative. And this is additive. Okay? And we're going to graph them. So we're going to draw a graph here. Okay, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then over here, and we're going to go by 2's. Okay, so this is dependent, which is y, independent, which is x. Okay, so we're going to start with the multiplicative one, and that one's going to be in blue. So multiplicative will be in blue. So we have 1, 5, so we start at 1 and we're going to go up to 5. Then we have 2, 10, and 3 to 15. Okay, so this is my multiplicative. And the additive one will be in green. So we're going to start with 0, 8, 1, 9, 2, 10, 3, 11. And that one's in green. So, for the additive, doesn't start at 0, 0, and for the multiplicative, always starts at 0, 0. Okay, so if you notice, the blue one is multiplicative. It always starts at 0. The additive is never going to start at 0, so it's going to start somewhere else. Okay. All right, so these are your notes. Make sure you copy everything down exactly as I have it. Thank you.